All right. Well, we'll just get started. So welcome. So as I said, just start to, let's see, adjust this a little bit. Make your way onto your mat. And if you haven't already, when you get there, you press into the feet, kind of pick the sacrum and the pelvis up a little bit, and then just set it back down. And maybe just do that a few times. That nice gentle movement of the sacrum helps kind of initiate some energy all the way up the spine. And then working up the spine, notice where the rest of the spine starts to fall on the mat, and then maybe even pick the shoulders up and slide them down so that they really start to get flat against the mat. Maybe a little tuck of the chin so the back of the neck is long. And I'll give you two options here. You can widen your feet like to the edges of the mat and then just let your knees fall towards each other. Or you can bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees fall open to the side. Coming into bound angle pose. And then whichever one that you choose, once you've arrived there, go ahead and let the eyes close or the gaze soften. Let's just take a few rounds of breath together. Just nice, big, gentle inhales. Really let the belly expand, fill yourself up, and then gently exhale out. Just nourishing the body a little, waking up a little. And then just take a few moments to just kind of mentally arrive onto your mat and into your practice. Just take one more big round of breath where you are. I just want to take a moment to remind anybody that may not have practiced with me before that everything I offer up is optional. You're here for you. I'm just here to guide. So if I'm bringing something up that's not resonating with you, it's not feeling good, it's causing you any discomfort and any pain, just try to find something that does offer you that, doesn't offer you this, that doesn't offer you that, any discomfort, any pain. So if you've taken the knees open to the side, let's go ahead and start to bring them up towards the ceiling. Everybody will meet with bent knees and soles of the feet on the mat. And then we're going to start to extend those legs long. Let's bring the arms up overhead and take a full body stretch. Oh, just lengthen everything out. And now you're going to take those fingertips and those toes. You're going to walk them over to the right. Let the hips stay in the mat where they are. Creating a nice long side stretch from the left pinky finger all the way down to the left pinky toe. If this feels good and you want to deepen it, you're going to take your right hand around that left wrist and then just use that to gently create some more length with that left arm, and you can cross the left ankle over the right. We're going to linger here for a few breaths and just let that stretch do its work, do its magic. It's waking up our fascia, kind of rehydrating us from sleeping overnight. We become stiff, we become a little bit dry. And these stretches help to kind of lubricate and loosen us back up. And then we're going to go ahead and release that. And we're just going to walk that over to the other side. So fingertips and toes go to now the left. And then moving the stretch to the right side of the body. And let's slowly just start to come back to center. Start to bring the arms down by the sides as the knees bend, feet come back to the mat. And then let's just draw the knees into the chest, just a gentle squeeze. You can place the hands on the outside of the knee, or you can place the hands between the back of the knee where the calf muscle meets the thigh. And I want to have you start to widen the knees just outside of hip width, and then gently draw the knees towards the shoulders. The focus is not just the hips, but I want you to try to see if you notice a little release through the low back. Make sure you're not creating any tension in the shoulders. Let the shoulder blades relax into the mat. Go ahead and start to bring the knees back together as the toes start to reach up towards the ceiling. You can bring the hands to the backs of the thighs, the hamstrings for a little support. Let's start by pointing the toes, making the legs active, and then let's flex the feet, pressing the heels up towards the ceiling. And now just alternate between the two. And then we're going to start to soften the knees back towards the chest. You're going to set the left foot down on the mat. The knee's going to stay bent. You can interlace the fingers behind that, just behind that knee, kind of on the base of the hamstring there, or you can interlace the fingers around the knee. It depends on what feels best for you. And then gently draw the knee up and over towards that right shoulder, creating some compression deep inside that right hip. And then from here, you want to take it a little deeper. You can start to slide that left leg long. Now let's start to soften that grip just a little. Keep the bend in the knee, and then bring that left leg back in to meet it. So you come back to that starting point, and then we're going to switch to the other side. So now the bend is in the left knee. The right foot lands on the mat, creating the compression in the left hip. And then option to extend that right leg long. And then go ahead and start to release that grip a little. Right knee comes back in to meet the left. You're back to your starting point. Hug the knees in just a little. And then set the soles of the feet back on the mat. From here, you're going to widen the feet a little wider than hip width apart. And then you're going to draw the knees over to the right. So once you get there, try to let the belly soften and let the thighs relax. The focus is on the front of that left hip, that hip flexor, that left thigh. And then let's slowly begin to bring those knees back up towards the ceiling. Leaving the feet right where they are. Once they land, you might find that you want to adjust the hips. If the hips started to slide a little bit to one way or the other, bring them back into the midline so the hips are in line with the shoulders. And then let's let the knees fall over now to the left side. And then let's slowly just start to bring the knees back up to center. You can bring the feet back to a little bit closer together. And I'm just going to ask you to roll onto your right or left side. It doesn't matter. You're going to press yourself up. You're going to come around and you're going to make your way to tabletop. So the hips are somewhere underneath your knees, wherever you feel comfortable, wherever you feel they're providing you a nice solid foundation. And the palms are underneath, somewhere underneath the shoulders, same thing, fingertips spread wide. Engage a little bit in the belly. Lift on that place between the shoulder blades. And maybe even close the eyes here, just so you have one less distraction, allowing you just to focus solely on your body and how you feel this morning. And then with the next inhale, let's lift the chin, let the belly drop, press the tailbone up. Hold for a moment and make it really exaggerated. Maybe notice that compression through your back and all that extension through the chest and the belly. And then let's press the floor away. Draw your chin to your chest and pull your tailbone in. Let your head hang heavy towards the mat. Now you've brought all that compression to the front side of your body and all that extension to the back side. And now let's just slowly alternate between the two. Just coming through a few rounds of cat-cow, just moving at your own pace, your own breath. And then next time the chin comes to the chest, pause for a moment and then use the next breath to just bring the spine back to neutral. And then we're going to take the top of the head to the left and kind of crunch the left hip and the left shoulder together. Maybe even see if you can look around kind of towards those left toes. And then you're going to switch that over to the other side. The same thing, just alternate between the two. And then eventually just land back in neutral. Check back in with your belly. If it started to drop, engage it just a little bit. And then let's walk our palms forward up towards the top of our mat. Now you're going to start to shift the hips towards the mat, coming into seal pose. You might find that once you're there, you want to put a little bend in the elbow. Lift on that place between your shoulder blades. You should feel a nice stretch through both hip flexors and a nice opening in the chest. And now let's start to shift the hips back towards the heels, come into child's pose. So leave the arms long, actively reaching towards the top of the mat. Now stay engaged. The elbows should stay slightly lifted off the mat. And then press into the tailbone. Hopefully noticing some length in the back and the spine and a little stretch underneath the arms. Now we're going to ripple up through tabletop and release the hips back to that seal pose again. So just like we did in cat-cow, you're now just going to alternate between the two. If your knees are bothering you in child's pose, just come up to tabletop. Maybe not shift all the way back into child's pose. And then next time you find yourself forward in seal pose, pause for a moment, put a bend in the elbows, and let the belly and the chest come all the way down to the mat. So the fingertips are spread wide. Press the tops of the feet into the mat. So you're having some active engagement in the thighs. And then with the next inhale, just lift the chest, lift the chin, open the chest into cobra pose. And then exhale, release down. Let's take that 2 more times. Always just kind of flowing and moving with the breath. You're really engaging your back muscles to lift. You're not really using your palms or your arms at all. They're just kind of there for guidance and support. And then after that last breath, the chest is going to come back down. You're going to press into the palms, come back up to tabletop. From tabletop, you're going to take that right foot and bring it up between your hands. So you're framing that right foot. You might come up on fingertips, or if you have blocks at home, that's a great place to use them. And then from here, let's start to shift the hips forward again. And then I'm going to ask you to, let's tuck the toes of that left leg, pick up that left knee, press strong through that left heel, and then see if you can open the hips towards the mat just a little bit more. And now you're going to take your right arm and you're going to bring it inside of that right leg. And we're going to start to walk our fingertips around, straighten the legs, and you're going to land in wide leg forward fold. So from here, you might need to adjust your footing a little bit. Fingertips or palms are on the floor in front of you for support. And then see if you can fold a little deeper. Nice stretch through the backs of the legs. And start to bring the spine up halfway. So engagement in the belly to support the spine. And then with our hands on the floor for some support, you're going to put a bend in that left knee, straighten that bend in the right knee, straighten that left leg. So a nice big stretch on the inside of that left leg, little engagement into that right quad and that right glute muscle, and then switch to the other side. And then next time you head to the left, so the bend is in the left knee and the right leg is straightened, you're going to start to walk the hands around, rotate up on the back toe, and you're going to come into that runner's lunge now on the opposite side. So once you're there, that back leg stays up, start to open the hips towards the mat, and then go ahead and set that back knee down, untuck the toes, and then just continue to stretch into that front of that right hip and compression in that left hip. And then all you're going to do is, I like to hinge my hips back a little, and then you're going to just bring that left foot around and you're going to land back in your tabletop. If I switched you around and you can't see me, then you can turn around to the other side of the mat if you wish. So from here, from your tabletop, you want to have you tuck your toes, and let's lift our hips and come into downward facing dog. So the sit bones are up towards the ceiling. Pedal out through the heels, maybe even work into the toes and the ankles. Stretching the backs of the legs. Let the head hang heavy. Open the chest towards the mat. So nice stretch underneath the arms, the chest, the backs of the legs. And then from there, let's go ahead and bring the knees back down to the mat. Coming into tabletop. Take a round of cat-cow. And then just to transition for a moment, we're going to tuck the toes again. Lift the hips, come back to down dog. Stretch there just for a breath. And then walk the feet forward. Moving into ragdoll. So bring the feet underneath you, just like you did with the knees and tabletop. Bring the feet underneath you where they're comfortable. Maybe put a bend in the knees, especially if the hamstrings are tight. Just let the top of the head hang towards the mat. You might even sway side to side. You can hold on to either elbow. This is the same benefit, same basic stretch as downward facing dog. It's just we don't have the weight in our wrists. And then find a little bit of stillness. Let's inhale, halfway lengthen. So straighten the legs, bring the hands to the shins for a little bit of support, and then flatten the back. Let's hold for just a moment. And then go ahead and start to release. Come back to that forward fold. Engage strong in the legs. Press into the feet. You're slowly going to rise all the way up. You can bring your hands to your thighs for support. And then sweep the arms wide. Sorry, you can't see mine. Palms meet overhead. And then bring the hands down to heart center. Let's hold for just a moment. And from here, now have you sweep your arms up. Sorry, you can't see me. I'm gonna be fixing that. I ordered something to help me out with this. Let's bring the arms up overhead. I'm gonna have you interlace your fingers and then flip your palms over so the palms are pressing up towards the ceiling. And then press the backs of the left fingertips into the back of the right hand. And just draw that up and over. Come back to that nice side stretch. And then let's come back to center. Take that over to the other side. And then come back to center. Release the hands down. And I'm going to come onto my knees so you guys can see me. So when you release the hands down, bring interlaced fingers behind the back. I'm going to pull the shoulder blades together and then guide those interlaced fingers over to the right side. So your left forearm is across your back. And then you're going to bring that right ear to that right shoulder. So you get a nice stretch through the left side of the neck, and especially the top of that left shoulder, where all those little knots of stress like to show up. And then bring the head back to neutral. Take those interlaced fingers and just flip them over then to the left side and bring the left ear to the left shoulder. And then go ahead and slowly come back to center. Go ahead and release the interlaced fingers back to the middle of the back and then let them go. And then take a couple of shoulder rolls. So draw the shoulders all the way up towards the ears and then pull the shoulder blades together, expand the chest. And then eventually find yourself back in stillness. Let's inhale the hands up, fingers touch overhead. And then exhale, forward fold. Let the fingertips come to the mat for a little bit of support. And I like to walk mine forward a little bit and then just step your right foot back, come down on your right knee, and then your left to follow. And then you're going to turn yourself around. We're going to come back to our sit bones. And then recline back onto your mat. So just as I asked you to do when I brought you here, the very first pose of the practice. So take a minute, adjust the spine, adjust the hips, the shoulders. And then we're going to bring the knees back into the chest again. Just a soft squeeze. And then go ahead and set that down. Feet are just, I don't want to say feet are touching, but feet are pretty close together, probably hip distance or maybe just a little bit tighter. And then I'm going to have you press into the hips just enough to, press into the feet so you can shift the hips just to the left a little. And then let's let the knees fall over to the right. It's a gentle spinal twist. And then maybe even bring the arms and open them up out to the side. If you haven't already, maybe let the eyes close. Really try to let the body soften. Spend a few more moments just sitting and paying attention to just the natural rhythm of your breath. And then let's slowly leave the arms right where they are. Just very, very gently start to bring the knees back up towards the ceiling. That left hip and the feet land on the mat. And then you're going to use the feet to just slide the hips just a little bit over now to the right. And then the knees are going to fall over to the left. Same thing, just let the body relax. This practice is just a place for you to kind of start your morning. We oftentimes don't realize what just a little bit of stretching and just gentle movement, the benefits that come to that. We don't have to race, we don't have to burn calories, we don't have to sweat. We just have to stretch and move. Get all of our energy flowing. And then with your next inhale, let's bring the knees back up towards the top of the ceiling. Now when the feet land, adjust the hips so that you feel like they're back in their center line where they need to be. You can bring the arms back in by the side, or maybe even bring the palms to the belly. Then extend the legs long. And close the eyes. Take a nice big full inhale here. Really fill up, let the belly expand. And then exhale out of parted lips. And I want you to just take a few moments to relax into stillness, into corpse pose, into Shavasana, and I will be here to bring you back when it's time. keeping the eyes closed, just gently begin to deepen the breath. And drawing the awareness back just enough so that you can kind of notice how you feel. And then maybe from this place of stillness, you might find that you want to set an intention for yourself. It's something that you can use the rest of the day based on how you feel right now. If you continue to practice with me, Shavasana, the closing practice will always be kind of your starting point for your day. The movement will be just kind of the awakening of the body, and then the Shavasana will hopefully serve as you as a place to kind of use as your starting point. And I ask that maybe you just notice how you feel throughout the rest of the day, even having just done this short sadhana practice. And then take a moment of gratitude for yourself for taking a little chunk out of your day just for you, especially early in the morning. It's a perfect way to start your day. And of course, I have gratitude for you for coming here and joining me this morning. I honor the love, the light, the truth, and the beauty within you because it is also within me. I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste. So thank you guys. If anybody wants to offer any feedback or anything that you'd like to see, if you want to continue to practice, just send me a little email and let me know. Okay. All right. Guys, all have a good day.